Tell them run it on.
What is going on? What is going on? Everybody in the house, what is going on? Wake up in Cleveland every single morning.
I wake up, flex, thumb down now. Check, no drip, this wet. Tell them run it on. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck. But first I stretch. Tell them run it on. I wake up, flex, thumb down now. Check, no drip, this wet. Tell them run it on. I wake up, flex, thumb down now. Check, no drip, this wet. Tell them run it on.
What is going on? What is going on? It is the Cleveland Terry Show every Thursday, 10:30 a.m., give or take. It won't go past 10:30. I know that much. We're going to keep it around 10:30. I'm still trying to get acclimated with the time change. But not the time change, just I've been on a different schedule. My magnet's kicking in here. But I am here, and the reason why I'm here today is because I don't think I will be here next week. In fact, I know I won't be here next Thursday. Well, let's see here. Next Thursday is my anniversary, which means I won't be here. I'll have to talk to the wife, but I'm pretty sure that if I'm on a show on our anniversary, she's not going to be too happy about it. So we will be somewhere, Atlantic City. I probably won't be on. Also, I mean, I'll be on the show. We'll do our live show as we always do in Atlantic City for the DJ Expo. But I have we might be off for 2 weeks. We might be off, give or take. Let me get my social ninja up here so I can see the comment section, because sometimes the comment section will tell me that you're not on. You're not on. What the hell's going on, man? Where are you? All right, hold on. There we go. We might get a quick echo. We might get a quick echo. Okay. Anyway, so because I can't see the chat just yet, you'll have to be patient with me for just one moment while I put this in. And then we can activate. There we go. There we go. Perfect. Okay. So let's do a quick refresh on Social Stream. All right. Well, we'll check those comments out while we are waiting for this thing to update itself. Well, we got, who do we got here? Theo, G. Kenny in the house, DJ Queasy, what's going on? Fresh Groove Entertainment, Lance Jackson, Matthews in the building, buried in last minute inquiries. I have been, this is actually a very good question, although I can't show it. So Matthew asked, anyone else getting buried in last minute inquiries? Wolf. I can tell you that, well, let's see here. Wednesday. So yesterday was my first official day back. We got in Monday night at about 1:30 in the morning. So that would have been yeah, 1:30. Didn't get to bed until like 3 because we had to, handle all the stuff, get everybody in here. Even though you have somebody watching the house, you still have to go in and kind of clean up. The dogs are crazy because we've been gone for an entire week. Just a lot. And then on Tuesday, I had to wake up at normal, 7:30 in the morning, which coming from Hawaii, it's like 4:30 in the morning to take my daughter to one of her dance classes. I've been off. Anyway, Wednesday, I had a full day of calls, and every single call was a booking. Like I sent out like 5 contracts yesterday. It's just funny. It's funny the way it works. Like I said, we go with the school year. So by the time we hit June 25th, and we really dry up. And because it's July, nobody wants to book anything or pay their bills or anything like that because they're all on vacation. They're all going on vacation. So that becomes an issue, obviously, especially when you're trying to, pay your bills and pay your overhead and I don't know, pay your salary, myself and my partner. And so it gets tough. It gets really tough in July. But of course, by the end of July, right before school is about to start, everybody comes running. Everybody's ready to book. Oh, we're ready to book. We're finally ready. Here we go. Like, well, we were ready 3 weeks ago when we were trying to figure out how we were going to pay, normal stuff. It's just the way it works. And since we bought the LED wall, it set us back a little bit financially, because LED walls will do that to you. And, but we're good to go now. All right, let me move this over so I can see my comment section here. Okay. Aaron Stroud show, LOL. I don't even know what that means. So I'm gonna keep it moving. If you're trying to put me in a position of making fun of me, well, it's not gonna work today, pal. It's not gonna work. DJ Switch says, but LED walls are so cheap and accessible. Absolutely. So cheap. So cheap. But it's coming around. The hardest part of buying an LED wall or two is, not having tons of LED wall bookings in place. And it's just sitting there. We don't typically buy things without like pretty much having, several bookings in place. And we had like 3 in place. So basically enough to like pay for the wall itself. But there's nothing worse. And I know, and this applies to everybody. I'm not trying to assume anything, but there's nothing worse than going into your office and seeing just like boxes and boxes of product that you can't use. We know this, but there's nothing worse. I start having these flashbacks of like the first bad purchase I ever made, which was talked about on the Aaron Strawn show. Hold on. Mixmaster G in the building. What is going on? No Tractor 4 experience yet, Mixmaster. Not yet. But it's coming. Just not yet. So as I'm trying to navigate through my office, and there's tons and tons of LED panels everywhere in boxes, of course, that becomes an issue. But I know that it's very short-term concern for something that's going to be very lucrative. But it is very, very annoying. Because the one thing you don't want to do, especially when you buy something that's expensive and you're trying to recoup your cost, the one thing you don't want to do is sound desperate when you're talking about it. Somebody calls in, hey, how you doing? Great. You know what you really need? You need an LED wall. You should grab one of those and do this and do that. Like, you don't want to do that. So everything has to be real nonchalant, Oh, you want a wall? Well, we got a wall. It's got to be cool and smooth. And I'm slowly adjusting my comment section here so I can move this over. Why don't you move? Okay, it doesn't want to move. Okay. DJ Tone in the building. What's going on? Yeah, I mean, they're definitely something. So the one thing that we did, which we didn't need to do, but it's good that we had it. But it's just, look, if you're buying from overseas, the more you buy, the cheaper it costs. Okay. So we made a miscalculation on the exact amount of panels that we needed. So we ended up buying more than we needed, which in the long run is a good thing. You know, you've an LED wall, you do one, you might be out, but we can actually do, you know, two, and in some cases, almost three walls at the same time. So it costs us more upfront. I mean, technically speaking, it probably should have been half the amount that we spent. But now we have them. So now we don't have to think about it. It's just there, you know? But yeah, we bought too many panels. It happens. I'm not going to get mad at anything. I'd rather have more than not enough. You know, I'd rather have, you know, 2 boxes of panels just chilling there, knowing that if something were to go wrong, I could replace those panels. Like, that's kind of the big deal. Not to mention, who knows, because the way panels work, who knows if in 2 years from now or 3 years from now, the panels that we have don't work, you know, or not to, I don't want to say don't work, but let's just say they start to give us problems and we go to get more panels and they're not even making the panels anymore. You know, it happens. So I'm not mad at that. I'd rather have a surplus than none. Okay. Yeah, we actually have a panel right now that they're gonna have to replace. And it was bad. It wasn't bad at first. That's the funny thing. It turned it on. Everything was working. We went to make some adjustments, and yeah, the panel decided I don't want to be here anymore. So one of the panels went down. You know, which is why now I'm really like precautious over building the panels. Like, I build them when I make sure that they're on, like as I'm literally popping the panels in. I don't wait to build an entire 9x16 foot wall, then turn it on and find out that the panel on the bottom doesn't work, because that would suck. That would suck. So yeah, so I'm just like, okay, turn it on. Okay, it works. Cool. Next one. Okay, it works. Cool. Next one. Okay. And absolutely, dead pixels are a thing. And it could be the smallest, easiest situation that you pop in, and next thing you know, you have a dead pixel. It's fine. Now it's dead. The one thing I will say is, and I've noticed, because a lot of people don't necessarily have a lot of panels, I have noticed a lot of dead pixels on competitors' panels. Like, a lot, where I'm like, I can't even believe that they put that on there. You know what I mean? Like, I can't believe that they sold this panel. Like, I'm just, sometimes it's very sad. You know, I saw one where there was like, it wasn't even pixels. It was like dots that were just dead or warped or faded. And I'm looking at the panels on some of these panels. You look at the panels and like, they're all, you know, because they're using different panels. Maybe they had to buy new panels or whatever, which is what I'm talking about, that concern. And you can see when the panels are off, you can see the discoloration in the panels because they weren't made at the same time. You get what I'm saying? Like, that drives me nuts. You know, I don't want to be looking at an all white screen and then, you know, this panel right here is slightly different colored. Like, that bothers me. Now, there is a way. We don't have it on our processor. We have, I can't think of it right now. I'm sorry. It's still early. But our video processor, there's a newer one, obviously more expensive, that came out that wasn't in our package. Our video panel is just good. It's good. But there's another one that's the newer ones, or the more expensive ones, have the ability to adjust every panel. Like, ours is kind of a one, like, you know, you're adjusting the entire thing, but like, you can go in and say, no, this panel right here, we're going to modify, blah, 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 and then get them all to match. There's a pixel matching automatic setting in some of the higher end video processing units. Ours doesn't. You can adjust them manually, but there's no automatic adjustment. It is Novastar, yeah. But the new Novastars have them, and I use Resolume too. Yeah. So I mean, look, when it's all said and done, everybody's using the same stuff. Okay. I mean, there's Novastar and there's another company that also has the video processing units. But Novastar is one of the typical ones, and most people are using Resolume. We talked about this or showed you this on our on another show, maybe a couple of months ago. But anyway, so that is what it is. It is what it is. All right. Let's see. Blew out my Pixel at an outdoor gig. Client was pissed right in the middle. Oh my God. That's terrible. But that's the joy. I mean, you live and learn. You live and learn. Like, had the next panels we get when we do buy more panels, it'll be the ones where you can literally pop the screen out right from the front, pop it out and go. You know, you learn as you go, and it costs more, and everything is just, it's a cost ratio. Everything you buy, just like DJ equipment, everything you buy is based upon how much you can afford, what makes sense financially. You know, you want to get the most bang for your buck, so you try to find that middle ground between cost effectiveness and just like, you know, product greatness. You know, and then you have to go. Like, we couldn't afford to go with like a, you know, our pitch is 2. I think it's 2, maybe 2.5. But you know, you want to go to the smaller ones. They're better, but they are more fragile. That is one thing you have to realize. They're, you know, the smaller the pixel density, the more fragile they are and the more expensive they are. So you have to decide what makes the most sense, you know. And which is very interesting, because when I was in Vegas, we were at the Conrad, which is Resort World, and sorry, I'm just okay. The Conrad and Resort World, and they have that humongous screen right on the front. Now, from the back, if you're looking at it from like the Strip or the freeway or any of that stuff, the screen is crisp. It is clear. Even when you're kind of standing on the street and you're looking up, it's crisp. And we were staying at the Hilton side before we moved to the Conrad. The Hilton side is the side that has the LED panel. And the LED panel, if you can see it from your window, you know, it's like it almost looks like it's like a box around your window, and almost kind of like an awning. You know what I mean? Like those old school awnings with the slats, and those are all around, you know, the side of your window. You have a open box that you can see in, but around it is the panels. And but the panel separation is, I mean, they're little literal bars. They're probably like this thick, okay? These slats, right? And the slats are, I want to say, like this, you know, slat here, slat here. So from where I'm standing, you couldn't see anything, obviously. But the larger the pixel density means that the farther back you are, the more, I reverse that. The farther you are from the screen, the larger your pixels can be, because you don't need to be close to it. So you can have like a 5 pixel density on a screen, because nobody's going to be staring right in front of it. You know, the closer you are, the tighter the pixels need to be. That's the key. So that's why when somebody's standing in front of a LED panel, you know, or like you're at Best Buy or whatever, and you're looking at a screen, you know, you're like, oh wow, this looks really, really good. You know, and you're comparing like this $10,000 LED panel for this $2,000 LED panel, you're like, oh, I can totally tell the difference. Well, of course you can. You're standing right next to them and you're looking at both of them side by side. You take either one of those panels on their own and they're both going to look good. And so the farther you are, the bigger the pixels can be. Now we are typically doing these things at parties. So a 2.5 is perfect. Nobody's ever going to be that close to the screen. And even so, even close to the screen, 2.5 is still perfectly fine for it. So it just depends. I'm not trying to live in the Sphere. And even the Sphere's panels are way separate, but because you're so far away, it doesn't matter. Okay. Is it possible for me to ask you a question? You just did. You may leave now. I mean, yeah, you're right. You're right. And yes, absolutely. I had to read the second sentence. Yes, you were absolutely correct. Anything that you buy from a business, okay? So we're only talking business. You want to talk personal? We can do that too. But like from a personal perspective, people buy things based upon emotion. Oh, I love this. This is going to look really good in my house, or it makes me feel a certain way when I look at it or when I hold it. Okay, that's personal. That's you. That's a one-on-one. That makes sense. But if you are doing it for a business, you have to say, okay, how much is this going to cost? How much is this going to affect me by making this purchase? When can I recoup my cost? That is number one. That is number one for anything you buy as a business. Okay. Anything, like legitimately anything. When can I recoup my cost? If you buy something and you can't recoup your cost for 10 years, it's probably not worth the purchase. It's just the way it works. You should be able to recoup your cost in 3 to 5 gigs. That's just normal. Okay. So if you were to buy uplights, right? And let's say you decide to buy some Chauvet uplights and you buy the uplights and you buy the charge box and, you buy 9 and it's like, I think it's like $3,000 a box. Okay. And then you buy 2 boxes because you have to have at least, 15 to 18 lights. So maybe you buy 2 boxes. Now you're at 18 and you've just spent $6,000. Okay. At some point you have to say, how many times do I have to rent these in order to recoup my cost? I spent $6,000. So, I mean, if you're doing, let's say you're doing uplights and you're charging $30 an uplight, right? And you do 15 uplights, 15 or 16. We'll say 16. Okay. And we'll just round up. So that's $480 that you're charging the client for these uplights to rent for that night. So we'll just make it even. We'll say $500. Okay. So that means that if you were only renting them out, one time per week, at $500, that's going to be $2,000 a month. So it's going to take you 3 months to recoup your costs. All right. That's not so bad. 3 months. Okay. Especially when you're dealing with uplights because it's a little different, but 3 months. So what did it take you? It took you 12 times to recoup your costs. That's higher than I'd like. I like to recoup my costs in 3 to 5. Okay. But uplights are a little different because, it changes. It could be you're doing 15 one day. It could be you're doing 27 the next day. You just never know. And depending. So, like when we bought our photo booth, photo booth cost you, I don't know, $2,500, $2,000 for the shell, maybe another $400 to $500 for the, probably $600 for the, like the iPad or whatever you're using for the computer. So let's just say it's $2,500. Now you rent it for $900 to $1,000 every time. So that means in 3 rentals, you've recouped your cost. That's the best possible scenario. Best possible scenario. Now, every time, like the uplights we bought, our uplights go out. We probably send out, we'll average, 5 to 8 parties on a Saturday night, and we'll probably send out uplights on 3 of them, 3 or 4 of them every time. So we've already recouped our cost for all those uplights, even the ones we bought over the pandemic, and they killed us when all those parties canceled. But we've already recouped our costs. So now, anytime we send out the photo booth, anytime we send out for uplights, anytime we send out for like video montage, projection, like all those things, we've recouped our costs. So now this is just pure profit. So, because it's always it's always funny to me, the reality of at least in my business. That's hilarious, but you're right. But you're absolutely right. I have a whole, and I'll get back to what I was saying in just a second, but, I used to be a, music producer, and I'm still doing music production, but like that was my business when I wasn't working my full-time job. And, I bought all this equipment, Apogee, Apogee DAs or Apogee, however you want to say it. And, Ableton and Pro Tools and all the Pro Tools software and all of that expensive ass stuff and everything. And then, you spend all this money at a certain point, which did happen to me. At a certain point, we started getting placement in movies and things like that. And, when a movie's like, hey, we want to license your song for this movie, and it's like, and they pay you $30,000 for it, for the licensing. At that point, right then and there, I recouped every dollar I ever put into my music equipment and all of my production at that point. So now anything that I do after that, it's paid for itself. It's paid for itself. That's all you want to do. Now, you don't just want it to pay for itself and then just stop, because you have to house this equipment, so you want to have it keep going. And if it's not making you money, you need to get rid of it. Even though you're like, oh, I spent all this money on it. If it's not making you money and it's taking space away from something that can make you money, you need to get rid of it. You need to get rid of it. That's like, you can't be a pack rat in business. For every space that you take up is space that could be used for something else. And it doesn't even have to generate money, but it could be used for something else. So just think about that every time you buy. I know a lot of people want to keep up with the Joneses. All right. They see all these other DJs and, they're looking around and they're like, oh my God, look, that DJ has light tubes and he has this and he has that. And look at that. Look at his furniture and look at all this. Well, that's fine. And it's great to make sure that you are operating at a level that, party planners and clients are going to see you and they're going to say, hey, you're legit. I want you. But the problem is, if you buy all this stuff, but you're not working enough to justify, because let's just say, for instance, you buy some furniture. Okay. You guys know I use Danny Mac's furniture and I absolutely love it. All right. And we also have, the other company, the Polish company. I can't think of the name right now. Humpter. And we have a Humpter booth. We have some Humpter stands, and the stands I didn't pay for directly. Okay, they because I'm an ambassador for a couple of distribution. They gave them to me, but we do work out deals to so they don't just lose money on it. But the Humpter booth, my partner bought outright. He wanted it. Emotional. He went emotional with it. Okay, but he's an owner. You gotta let some things go. So, because I was like, I could have got this so much cheaper. Neither here nor there. So, but he bought it because he wanted it. He wanted to put his thing on another level. The clientele that my partner works on is typically like, I mean, we do, 400 events a year, but like we have some super, super high end clients. So, and he's always on there. So, he was just like, this makes more sense. So from a financial aspect, yes, some of that makes sense. Some of that you're not going to recoup, like you're not going to recoup your costs on a DJ booth. Okay. But if the clients keep booking you because of how you look, well, you have to think about it that way. It's almost weirdly like marketing costs. So that makes sense. But if you're just starting out, right? You're just starting out and you're like, I got to get the furniture. I got to get the RCF speakers. I got to get, I got to get the Ape Labs, everything. And you're doing all this stuff. And next thing you know, you've spent, $30,000 on all this gear, but you're not actually working, or maybe you're working once a month. It's going to take you forever to recoup that cost. Now, if people aren't booking you because of your gear, which in general is the way it works, okay? Anybody that tells you, oh, well, I wasn't getting bookings until I bought that Humpter booth and all of a sudden, the panties started dropping, like that's a flat out lie, okay? I went through a whole thing back when we were just getting big and people, and like we were getting bigger. My name as a YouTube person was getting bigger. And then people just started to make assumptions. Oh, well, why are they using that gear? What's the point of that? I can't believe people are booking you. Like the logic, the literal entitlement from people was like, oh, well, they're not getting their money's worth when they book you because you don't have this and you don't have this and you don't have this. Meanwhile, I'm like, well, that's strange because the phones keep ringing. They keep ringing. And I don't have a Humpter booth. I don't have Danny Max furniture. All I have are literal facades that I bought from one of the companies online, so, but yet the phones kept ringing. So I knew that didn't really matter. None of that matters. Okay. Now at a certain point, at a certain level, when you reach a certain level, then it makes sense. Okay. When you reach a certain level to go, you know what? I'm now representing a higher class of clientele. So I have to look the part. But if you're not in that clientele, then it doesn't matter. You get what I'm saying? Most people in the real world don't know the difference. They don't know the difference. They know when something looks rich, but they don't know the difference. And unless you're using subpar equipment, it's not going to matter. Does your speaker sound good? Is your lighting good enough? That's all they care about. That's all they care about. That's it. So I've always been that way, and it takes me a while to finally get to a point. But, having said that, like right now, yeah, absolutely. I personally have no issue and no client would ever, let me back up. The furniture that I use now makes sense for the level of clientele that we're putting out. Okay. And there's nothing wrong with like kind of projecting an image. I'm not telling people, if you don't have the money, don't do it. But again, that's an emotional decision, not a business decision. There's not a single, I don't want to say a single. There's always some clients that, they're online and they're like, oh, I like this look. Right. And so they're looking for that look. But in general, nobody cares. They just care that it's clean, right? Doesn't have a whole bunch of holes and scratches and stains on the product. And it doesn't take up too much space. That's all they really care about. Even planners, but the reason why we started to upgrade some of our equipment was for one reason and one reason only. When the party planners start bringing in gear, All right. They're like, oh, we brought in a new front board. We brought in this so it could match the decor, so we can do this. When they start to do that, and you start to kind of look around and you're like, okay, if I had my own, they would just rent it from me, or they wouldn't tell me to change or whatnot, right? That's when we were like, okay, we should upgrade. If this particular clientele always asks for furniture, or whatever, then we should just get that. So then there's no question. But if nobody's asking for anything, you're just spending money for yourself. Now, it's an emotional decision, not a business decision. Nothing wrong with emotional decisions. Like I said, it just has to, you want to try to align them with your business practices, okay? Or you will go broke. There's tons of times when new lighting will come out and we're like, oh, we should do this. That'd be really cool. And then we say, okay, then this is how it works. All right. Because I'm a multi-op. Owners, which is myself and my partner, Paris, we are typically on two different parties. It's just the way it works now. So we get the good stuff. All right. The other, let's see here. What do we have? Okay. So we have, give or take, depending on how you modify, we have 10 setups. Okay. 10 full setups. My partner and I get the top end, high end stuff. All right. We represent the company. When people see us, it trickles down to every other thing that we do. All right. So we are essentially the marketing team for the company. We get the biggest parties, all 10 high end. Yes, Don Rafa. We get the biggest parties, and people are booking because of us. When they can't get us, it trickles down, to the other people. So the remaining eight setups are facades, basic lighting trusses. All the sound systems are all high end. They're all either JBL or QSC, and even the small ones are like, the Bose L1s. All right. So those are all the systems, all of them. We've upgraded a couple of them to have the one piece like Pro X booth that you built together, the one I showed on one of my videos. And we're slowly pushing those onto every party. Now, we can't use them for every party. We'd have to buy the bigger one because some of our guys still use turntables. Most of them have moved over to controllers, but we still have some turntable guys. And so basically, they get those. Now, there's certain things I would love to do, right? I would love for all of my guys to have movers and to have, whatever, sound switch or Maestro or any of these things. Would love for them to have that, but I can't, because for a couple of reasons. One reason, employees don't take care of your shit. Okay. They take care of it enough to not get in trouble, but they don't baby the stuff. They don't go, hey, you know what? This is fragile. So let me just make sure I put this one on top of everything and I put it in nice and soft. No. And then when I drive back to the warehouse, I'm not driving like Mario Andretti, hitting corners and the equipment is jumping around, banging on stuff. All right. I don't have any dents in my speakers until somebody else takes them. And all of a sudden I get a random little dent here and a random little dent there. I'm like, what the hell, man? We had bought a whole new QSC system from a guy that moved over to Calmaray. So we bought a QSC system, and I didn't want to bring my system. I had a guy setting up my equipment. I'm like, okay, just take the QSC system in the warehouse. I'm going to leave mine in my house because I keep my main system. Well, at least in the past, I have. I'm changing for this season. But in the past, I keep my system in because it's just easier. I have my truck. Everything's at my house. So it makes it easy. But I'm moving to now having a roadie set up all my stuff. All right. I have first off, I earned it. Okay. That's the first thing. I've been having this shoulder thing, in all honesty. shoulder thing's driving me nuts, and the shoulder thing is getting worse because I'm lifting my own equipment and doing all my stuff. So I've decided, okay, I'm just going to start having the roadie set it up. So I'm moving all my stuff to the warehouse, and they're going to handle it. But anytime, so I said, I'll just use the QSC system. I'll use the Pro X booth that's there. Like, I'm not that guy. Like, if it's good, it's good. And I have multiple DJ pieces that I can take with me to use. You know, I can take the Rain Performer. I can take the Rev 7. I can take a DDJ 1000. Like, I have all those things at my disposal. I know I'm not the average person. So they go and set up. And I'm plugging in. I get there and I'm looking. I'm like, why is there a dent here? Why is there a dent here? Why is this doing this? I don't have this on mine. Now, are they dents that like any client would see and notice? No, but I notice because my stuff doesn't have dents in it. So my partner knows how I work. He knows, and I'm like, I'll bring my stuff here. And I told the warehouse manager, I'm like, don't send my stuff out. One of my dolly was on a party once, and I went to do a party, and I'm like, where the hell is my dolly? Oh, we were using it for blah, blah, blah. You can kiss my ass. You bring my dolly back right now. So little things like that. And so I have a section like, this is my stuff. Don't touch it. Don't give it out to anybody. I don't care if you can't find what you're using. Do not give my stuff out without my permission. Anyway. So yeah. All right, let's answer some questions here. And it's not, look, it's a show, I mean, I always think about, what's the, Howard Stern, right? And I remember, people would be like, why is he talking so much about his personal life? And why is he doing that? Because he's on a show talking for 2 hours. It's gotta make sense, So yes, sometimes there is a little bit of a flex, but it's more understanding. I'm just trying to give relative reasoning. You know what I mean? That's kind of what I'm talking about here. Like, anybody can get to where I am. I'm not special. I mean, maybe the way I sell, or maybe, my work ethic, or maybe just, my standard for parties, it absolutely could be higher than yours. And when I say yours, I'm not talking about anyone in particular. Just everybody works differently. Everybody has standards that they try to get to. Those standards could be here, right? And that's a standard. But then my standard might be here. And that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with your standard. It just means my expectations are different than yours. Because if your client is fine with your standard being here, and nobody gives you any shit, then your standard is fine. But if I'm here and my clients are like, and I take it down to here, and my client's like, something's different about you. I don't like this new thing. I got to go back up, and that's the difference. And every client, and we're going to get to this in a minute, and every client is different, which is why I can send certain clients certain things because their expectations are different. But if I'm doing a party for, like I said, you guys know, I do a lot of high-end clients. So if I'm doing something for a Beyonce, or for, an Adam Sandler, I got to come correct because their standards and expectations are considerably higher. When you have like a backyard party that you're doing, and you find out, oh yeah, it's so-and-so's party, and it's just the little thing in their backyard. And then you go there, and first off, their backyard is bigger than your entire property. And they just pulled in one of the most expensive party planners to design it. That's a whole different level. Okay. I know right now party planners, and everybody's different. Okay. But I'm in LA. And some of these party planners will charge you $50,000 just to do your party. Not the money that they're getting to do your party. Like, oh, here's $50,000, make my party happen. No. That's here's $50,000. Now, what do you recommend for my party? Oh, okay, great. Thank you for my 50,000. Now I need another 200,000 to make this party what you want. Like that's the world that I operate in. I can't afford to be in that world, you know, and that's what Theo says. Yes, 50,000. And the funny thing about 50,000, that's not even that much. That's not even that much. Some of my clients, they're just the party planner retainer is like $250,000. Mindy Weiss parties, she won't even answer your phone call for $50,000. So it's just funny the way it works. But there's just different levels. And I would say it's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's the same thing with like, okay, let's say I'm doing a face-to-face client meeting. All right. And hold on. I got to block this off for a second before I come back to Jack Tumbo. I'm just going to, where'd you go? Hold on. I want to toggle pen. Let's pen this. Toggle Q. All right. Let's see if that works. Okay. So let's say I'm doing a face-to-face meeting with the client, right? And all right, so I'm in Los Angeles, and let's say, I have clients that are in Studio City. I got clients that are in off the West Side, Santa Monica, Culver City, all over the place, right? But let's just say I'm going to a house, and I walk in, and I knock on the door. They answer the door, and I come in. I'm in a t-shirt. There's a little bit of stain here. I don't care about Holy jeans because that's kind of the standard. But let's say I got some Holy jeans, just some thing. My shoes are dingy, right? And I walk in and I sit down and I go to grab my bag and I get my computer out and there's crap all in my bag and I'm pulling stuff out and sliding things around. Hold on, let me get to my computer. I get to my computer and it's the hinge is coming loose and I'm trying to. This client, okay, is gonna go, oh, you're really nice. But you can't do my party because clearly you are not successful. If I drive up in some beater, they're going to go, you are not successful. So yes, I know that there is a little bit of a false flexing that has to occur for clients. Okay. I understand this, first things first, you need to be clean and just look the part. I typically come in like a polo shirt, typically speaking. But let's just say that's the case. So, if you drive up in a beater, they're going to be like, "Oh, are you sure they're as good as you say they are?" Because he drove up in a 1975 Buick that's shooting shots out in the back when you start it up. So there's the thing. Now, there's also another way. Okay. If I go to a house and it's just a regular house, right? Regular house, just normal people. They live in the valley. They live in Chatsworth, right? Just normal, regular people. And I roll up in a Porsche Panamera, and I come in and I got my Rolex on, and I don't have a Porsche Panamera, by the way. So I don't want you guys thinking that I'm like that. I don't have one. I will, but I don't have one now. Okay. So I roll up in a Porsche Panamera and I have my Rolex on and I got all this stuff. And then I'm like, okay, let me pull this out and let me bring out my thing. And I'm like, okay, this is how much it costs. And they're like, well, you're just too expensive for us. I'm sure there's somebody cheaper because you got to be able to pay for all this stuff. So you're probably charging more, than we actually need. So there is a fine line, it's kind of like, when you're working, like a lot of people have full-time jobs. I used to have a full-time job, and by the way, the whole, if you're not doing this full-time, you're not a DJ, bullshit is just trash. Okay. If you got to work a full-time job and do this, you do that. You do whatever you have to do to earn a living and take care of your family. Like I hate that fact when people are like, well, you can't be a professional because you have a job. Yes, you absolutely can. And for 8 years, I simultaneously had a full-time job and my DJ company. It wasn't until 8 years till I left the full-time job, the day job. So Don't let anybody tell you that that's necessary. I never look down at somebody that's like, oh, well, I work too. Go, you know, we all do. We all do. You know, and anybody that tries to tell you that is bullshit. And and if they are telling you that, walk away. Walk away. Okay, seriously. They're not good for you. Walk away. But there's this other side of it where you don't want to look too expensive. Back to what I was saying. So like, you know, you have a full-time job and, you know, you're getting paid or whatever, you get your salary and everybody's kind of operating on the same level salary wise, right? And then you get a new car and the new car, say, is real nice, right? There's a lot of people that for whatever reason will question you. You know, they'll look at you like, huh, how is he getting all this? Is he making more than me? Is he doing this? Blah, blah, blah. And you're like, no, I just saved up money and so I could put a bigger down and that's why it's cheaper. But they don't care about that. So perception is a thing. And next thing you know, they're like, you start getting this bullshit, you know, oh, hey, we're paying you too much, I guess. Like that kind of bullshit. Like you're not deserving of something nice. You know what I mean? Like when people come by, you know, like I have my house and then they come by and they're like, oh, you know, you have a nice house. Wow. How you must be doing real well. It's like, well, okay. Yes, I'm doing better than some, not better than everybody. There's a lot of people where I'm like, look, trust me, my kids are in the dance community. And every single person in the dance community, all those people that my kids go to, their friends and they all make so much more money than me. So much more money. Like that keeping up with the Joneses. I'm always telling my wife, I'm like, we can't afford that. Oh, they're just doing this and they're doing that. Yeah, that's not us. You know, I don't have, and you know, I don't look, we have a lot of like people that are like movie stars and like, you know, professional dance choreographers and they work for like, you know, they're like dance choreographers for like America's Got Talent and all these things. And they have this, and I have people that are like legitimate, like Oscar winning movie stars that we're friends with and, you know, acts like, you know, obviously you guys know, like I know Backstreet Boys and I know, you know, we don't have that kind of money. We are not those people. You know what I mean? But but the good thing about them is, at least the ones that I deal with, it's never really been about that. Anyway. So back to what I was saying, you know, you got to do you. It's got to be, it's just got to be relative. Well, yeah, exactly. This is true. Professor BX in the house. No need to explain. Um, yeah, cold cut. It's not even about that. It's literally about, it's just perception. It's just perception. So I find a middle line, you know, like I used to have my Infinity FX. It was a nice car, but it wasn't too expensive. You know what I mean? So, cause you just don't want it. Now it's just the way people work. I wish there was a different answer for it, but it's not. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, preacher man. All right, let me get back up. There was a question that was up here. In fact, there were several questions, but let me just go back to the one that I had tagged. Where'd it go? Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. Watch your Hawaii stream. Thought was great. That's direct. Thank you so much. You know, I did have some time to relax. But it was expensive. You know, it was expensive. I mean, you think you plan for a vacation and then you realize you didn't plan well enough. Like legitimately, like I knew food was going to be expensive, but I had no idea. I had no idea it was going to be that. When every single meal that we got, every meal was, I want to say $150 plus. And this wasn't even like like a good meal. This is just like, oh, we're gonna get a couple hamburgers, you know, we're gonna get some fries and blah blah blah. Every meal was like, because I got 4 people that I'm paying for, like $150, and all of a sudden I'm like, I'm starting to do math. I'm like, okay, that's three, at least 3 days, 3 times a day, 7 days. You start doing the math, you're like, oh my god, I don't have enough money to cover all of this. This is a lot. We got to figure out some ways. Now, fortunately, we found some loophole, and that's just for food. You're still going to do things. You still want to snorkel and go out and boogie board and do all these things. All of a sudden, you're just like, oh my god, there's so much money. Like, I could not get over the fact when a hamburger costs you $30, there's something wrong. There's something wrong. And it's not like, oh, I went to, you know, Lowry's or something, super high end. It's just a regular burger. It was expensive, man. Yeah, exactly. All right. Okay, DJ Cold Cut. This is a very good question, and I'll find the one that they asked before. Do you recommend creating partnerships with party planners? Okay, good question. Short answer is yes. Long answer is if you're good enough, it doesn't matter. Okay. So what I mean by that is, hold on. What I mean by that is, depending on the type of event you're doing, will tell you how much power party planners have. So if you're doing weddings and or corporate, typically they are party planner heavy. Okay. Typically, especially if you're doing corporate, the party planner pretty much chooses who she wants for that corporate event. I have a client right now. I do corporate stuff for them every single quarter, and every single quarter they book the same party planner, and the same party planner calls me and is like, hey, I need you on September, blah, 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 to do an event for me. Okay. That's that relationship. He's flat out said, he goes, I will not book anybody else. If I'm in charge of the DJ, it's you. If I'm not in charge, it is what it is. But like, he's like, I won't book another DJ. I don't care. You're my guy. So that's the kind of relationship you want to have. And the same thing applies to weddings. You know, a lot of those weddings, they talk to the party planner first, and then they book the DJ. But if I had to rely on party planners, my business and the way I run my business would have been completely different. Okay, because the thing about party planners are a lot of them, not all of them, but because the power is in the party planner's hands, when they're not like nice people by default, they tend to try to. It's kind of a slave owner mentality. Okay. They're like, well, if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't be here type thing. Like, I don't want that. I don't want that in my life. So, I like party planners. The only relationships we have with party planners, okay? The only real relationships are ones that know our worth, let us do our jobs the way we do our jobs. And that's it. You know, they say out of the way. We'll make you look good. I mean, that's always the key. Like, party planner, why are you fighting me? I'm here to make you look good. If you let me do my job, you will have the easiest party ever. All you'll have to do is make the place look pretty, make sure the food comes out on time. I will handle everything else. Everything. You can go sit in the corner and have a drink. You don't need to stand next to me like, pulling on my shirt like, hey, food's coming out. When I'm literally like, looking at the schedule like, food comes out at 7:30, right? Yeah. And it's on time, right? Yeah. Why the hell are you telling me that food's coming out? I know. That's why we have schedules. That's why we have the schedule right here. It says food, 7:30. I'm partying up to 7:30. That's it. And then if I don't trust you, if food is supposed to come out at 7:30, I don't stop dancing until I see a waiter with a platter full of food. I won't do it. I've been burned too many times to believe you when you tell me food's ready. Food's ready when I see food. That's it. and then I'll sit them down, because I've sat people down and all of a sudden they're like, oh, we still need 10 minutes. We still need 20 minutes. I'm like, I could have been dancing these people. Why did you make me sit them down? So, so that's just my thing. But in general, you want a good working relationship with the planners. That's it, you know. And we have a core of planners that utilize this. I mean, clients book us directly regardless. So probably, I want to say we probably get 30% from planners. The 70% comes just from direct phone calls in. So I know we are fortunate and we are different and we are luckier than a lot of DJs out there. Lucky is the wrong word, because we created this, you know, but planners always have a hard time when we tell them that we don't really, in a nice way, like that we don't really need them, because they're like, well, I don't understand. How are you getting your bookings? Well, the phone rings and then I answer it, or the email comes through and then I reply. Like, that's how we get our bookings. And they don't know how to take that. You don't need me? You don't need me? You know, and then they realize they don't have any power. And when they don't have power over you, that's when they start booking other DJs. The ones that have an ego about what it is they do, that's when they book other DJs. When they know that you're not going to take their shit and you're fine without them. Yeah. Or when they're like, hey, because a lot of party planners will try this, you know, let's have a relationship, whatever. I will bring you parties and you'll give me kickbacks. You give me kickbacks. And you're like, that's fine. And maybe when you're starting out, kickbacks are okay. All right. But once you get to a certain level where people know your name and they're calling you directly, kickbacks become real irrelevant. And the reason why they become irrelevant is because the whole purpose of a kickback, okay, is to bring you business that you wouldn't have gotten on your own. That's the whole point. Whole point. Here's a market over here. I'm not in this market. So therefore, if a party planner is in this market and they have clients for me, yeah, here's a kickback, because I was never going to be in that market. But if you're in the market and somebody's like, hey, I have a client for you. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And then, you know, the client calls you and you're like, oh, hey, how'd you hear about us? And they're like, oh, well, we saw you on this party and we saw you on this party and we saw you on this party. So we knew we had to have you. And then I'm like, okay, so you were going to book us regardless of if you booked that party planner. Party planner, I'm not giving you a kickback. I'm not giving you a kickback on money I was already going to earn on my own. That's silly. You know, and a lot of party planners don't like that. So we're like, so book somebody else. Like, you got to do what you got to do. Now, you book somebody else. You book somebody else and the client knows, and then it makes you look bad. So we get some begrudging party planners too. They're like, oh, we got to work with check 1, 2. Whatever, man. It is what it is. All right, let's see here. All right, Jack Tumbo. Do you ever perform in places where the speakers and all audio and lasers are installed, or always bring your own sound? As a club DJ, mostly sound is already there. What is your view on this? This is a very good question. And this is a question that I see in a lot of the forums, okay? Because there's a lot of DJs out there that will say something along the lines of this. I don't care if you have speakers. I don't know them. I don't trust them. So I'm going to bring my own. All right. There's a lot of DJs like that. And for those DJs, I say, most of the time, unnecessary. Most of the time. Okay. Yeah. There might be times where you walk in and you're just like, you know, you go to the venue beforehand. You're like, I can't use this equipment. It sucks. But if it's at a nightclub and they have everything, absolutely, I'm using their equipment. Now, here's the thing. The reason that most DJs don't want to use the venue's equipment or somebody else's equipment, the reason that they do this is only one reason. 1.5 reasons, okay? The 0.5 is, well, what if the system doesn't sound that good and my system is better? Fine. That's 0.5, okay? Number one reason, because they can't charge for their speakers. Because if you go to a venue and they already have everything, and the client's like, okay, well, yeah, they have everything, so I don't need to pay you for the speakers. You can credit me off that, right? And then the DJ's like, oh my God, yeah. Well, we need those speakers. What happens if, just in case? And you're like, it's a nightclub. You're not bringing your speakers in to this nightclub. Let's be honest. Okay. Now, if you're at a place where the venue's like, okay, there's a sound ordinance, so you have to use their speakers and they don't trust, and you want to have a hissy fit then, I mean, I guess, but the reality is the venue is the venue, and you have to respect whatever the venue has, because the client booked the venue, and the venue made the client sign a contract that states specific things. So if the client books you and says, well, I'm at this venue, it's not really your job to tell them it's tough, I'm going to do what I'm going to do regardless. Not really your job. Your job is to do the job they're asking for, so I don't agree with it. Now, there have been certain places, where I know the sound is shitty, and I will tell them, the only thing I will tell them, like, look, we're not allowed to bring our speakers into this venue. The sound isn't good, so I just need you to be prepared for when you're like, turn it up, and I can't turn it up because I'm maxing it out. Okay, that's the bottom line here. I see Mac Joseph saying I DJ for 1,000 minimum. So here's the key here. While your equipment makes you money, okay, obviously, the more equipment you bring, typically the more you can charge. But while your equipment brings you money, it should not really affect your profit margins. Your profit margins should always be the same. So if you're building your package up, right? And every single piece, you got your DJ, maybe you have your MC, you charge for lighting, you charge for speakers, and then any of your ancillary products, your up lights, your video montage, your TV and your whatever. All of those things should have a profit margin built into them. All right. So yes, you can make more profit, but that shouldn't change your base profit. Okay. Your base profit is different. So if you happen to be doing a lot of parties where they don't have sound, you're like, oh my God, I'm not making enough. Well, that's because your base margins are incorrect. You should be able to walk away. Now, the trick that we get away with on this, it's very simple, and it's not really a trick. It's just what we charge. The money is in the human resources. Okay, the money is in the people. It's not in the equipment. All right. When you're charging your fees, you're charging it based upon the people and the experience that the people bring. All right. The equipment is secondary. All right. So for us, let's say, for instance, our package is, I'm not going to throw out a number. I'll throw out a simple number. Let's say the package is $4,000, right? We'll just say that. All right. And then your sound and lighting, and maybe your transportation cost, maybe total sound, lighting, and transportation cost is $1,000, right? Maybe that's just built into your package. So if a client's like, oh, we don't need your sound, I'm only taking off like $300. Oh, we don't need your lights, I'm only taking off $200. We don't need sound and lighting, I'm only taking off $500. Well, why aren't you? Well, that's not enough. I thought it would be more. You're paying for the humans. You're paying for the experience. I can DJ on anything and give you the same experience. So that cost should not be the same as the cost of my experience doing your party. My experience, my MC's experience, the dancer's experience. That's what you're paying for. You're not paying, the speakers don't matter, which is why when people are like, bro, you should only use RCF speakers. You should only use this kind of lighting. It's not where the money is. It's just not. So I absolutely will go. I mean, think about it this way. Every so often, isn't it nice to be able to just drive up to a party, plug your computer in, do the party, unplug your computer, and leave? No breakdown, no setup. It's the best kind of way, which is why we have roadies, which is why my partner has roadies. My partner basically has a club every day. He comes in, his roadies already set everything up. Yeah, his DJ comes in, plugs in, then his DJ unplugs and leaves. Like, that's the best possible. But to each their own. And I know, so the only reason why is because they want to make more money. That's it. That's the only reason why people force their speakers on. There's no way in the world you're going to tell me, that the speakers are the lifeblood of the party, or they have to bring their speakers. That's ego. When I get people that tell me what they will and won't do on a party, because it's not in their contract, it's not the contract, it's ego. Your unwillingness to work around things is ego. I won't do this. And it's real weird. There's this weird contradiction that I see in the DJ community where one person will be like, I won't do that. If there's no tent covering, I won't work. But it's only 80 degrees. I don't care. I won't work if there's no this, and if there's not this or not that. But then I'll see other posts where people are like, you know what? If you see a party planner that needs some help, help them out. If you've already set up, put some cups on the table, set the chairs up. And I'm like, no. But there's both of these. People that are like, I won't do this, but then there's a whole other side that's like, yeah, but help people. They're not one and the same. You can't say I won't do something and then say that. Now, I say I'm not going to help a party planner. I'm not going to help move a couch over. That's not my job. That's not my job. My job is to DJ. And when I see these things and people are like, well, we're all a team here. Are we? Are we all a team? And this is where we get back to those questionable planners. Those planners that have been assholes to you the entire time. The planners that try to throw you under the bus every opportunity they get because they never take responsibility. Those planners, when they're like, oh, we're a team here. We're not a team. We are not a team. And no offense, but I didn't see any of you rolling speakers in from my truck. I didn't see any one of you. But now you want me to help you move couches around, or do no. We all have jobs to do. And when it's all said and done, those party planners have charged that client for all of that work. So if you're a bad party planner and can't budget what your needs are, or you're doing the same thing the DJs are doing with their speakers, coming in lower and then bringing in less resources to help you make that party happen, or charging more on certain parts, well, that's on you. That's on you. I'm a big proponent. Okay. Here's the thing. You guys have kids? And, let me know in the chat if you guys have kids. All right. I am assuming that most of you have kids. But specifically, do you have teenagers? All right. Do you have teenagers? Not like, do you have a 4-year-old or a 6-year-old? Do you have teenagers? All right. People that are capable of doing things on their own. All right. So let's say you have kids. I have this running frustration in my home, right? When my kids were younger, obviously, they couldn't reach the sink or whatever. So we would do their dishes and put them in the dishwasher, whatnot. Okay. At a certain point, you start looking in the sink and you're like, why are all these dishes in here? I didn't put these dishes in here. Oh, the kids too. Oh, well, they have this or have that. Nope. No, they don't. They have a job to do now. Okay. They're fully capable of handling their own stuff. So, my whole logic is, and she's like, well, how did the sink turn in all these dishes? And because nobody's putting their dishes in the dishwasher. And I said, it's simple. If everybody takes responsibility for their thing, just their thing, nobody else's thing, their thing, there will never be any problems. That's it. That's it. So if you are a party planner and you have all this stuff, if you put people in place. So that's why, at least at a minimum, I appreciate those party planners that charge a shit ton of money. And because they will bring in, as annoying as they are, they will bring in over the amount of people to make it happen. You know, that's when you got like 4 party planners in your ear the whole night. You're like, Jesus Christ, did I need 4 party planners? I have 4 separate people telling me food's coming out. I got it, man. I got it. So if everybody just does their job, then there's no problem. If something's going on with my system, I can't walk up to a party planner and be like, hey man, I got this problem. Can you come over here and help me? They're gonna be like, I have no idea what to do. You're on your own. You're on your own. Yeah. This is why I tend to not do weddings. In all honesty, it's not the weddings. Weddings are easy. Okay. In all honesty, I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to be dismissive of what we all do as DJs, but weddings, once you get through the initial, ladies and gentlemen, here is Mr. and Mrs., they're just people wanting to have a good time. And as long as the schedule isn't super trash, because pretty much all wedding schedules are trash. Okay. But as long as they're not super trash, typically you can't have a bad wedding. You can play pretty much anything and everything that was ever written, ever produced. It's easy, but the party planners are so annoying to work with. I honestly don't even want to do them. Bar mitzvahs are harder, but to me, they're easier because I can just do what I can do. It's very interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Get those excellent reviews to charge higher. Yeah, I mean, either that or you just show your consistency. I mean, we have excellent reviews, but for us, the reviews don't matter as much. So people that do weddings are definitely in a harder situation. Okay, you absolutely need to have those reviews because for the most part, with weddings, you're doing one-offs on every party. Every wedding you do, it could be the opening and closing of that particular client. It's very rare. It happens, but it typically, okay. It's not, okay. So when we do a bar mitzvah, let's say we do a bar mitzvah in August or September, right? If we do a bar mitzvah in August and September, we're still going to get clients from those parties in maybe even, February, March, April, May, June. We're still going to get those clients. Okay. Those people are still waiting to see who they're booking for their DJ. But in a wedding, well, because the gaps are so far away, you might do a wedding and then let's say, I don't know, one of the bridesmaids is like, hey, I'm getting married too. Well, when you get married? Well, I don't know yet. My fiance hasn't popped the question yet. And then if we do, it's going to be 4 years from now. So there's that space. You do rely on party planners because if you're not going to be able to just book. We do a party or parties and 5,000 people see us on the 10 parties that we just did. Well, we're going to get leads just because of that. It's not the same for weddings. So I do know that. All right, let's see here. Yeah, this is absolutely true. It took us forever to reprogram our party planners to go, we don't need you. We're good. And then once that happens, then they're like, oh my God, I'm going to book you every single time. But every time we get a new party planner, we have to go through this very same thing. Like I know it frustrates them because we'll be in meetings, via Zoom or something, or we get to the party and they're frazzled and they're running around and you're just like, okay, everything's calm and casual. Okay, cool, whatever, that's fine. And they're just like, I don't understand why you're so calm. You don't understand. Like, this is my favorite. My favorite party planner is, hey, so we have a client for you. They're very important to me. They're very high profile. So I really want to make sure that we have, the right people in place. They're all high profile. They're all important. So just because your client happens to be some movie star or some, business executive doesn't change the fact that they're just people. And when you start treating them like just people, you find out that it's better. It's better for them. It's better for you. Like I never brag, because it's not my thing. When they're like, oh, I have this high profile client, I need to make sure that you're able to do it. And I'm just like, lady, literally, we just did like the top 10 movies stars the last year. Like, what are you talking about? We know what they are. We're not going to send you bullshit people to do this party. We understand, but when it's all said and done, they're just people. They're just people, And in all honesty, I have found that they don't want their asses kissed. They just want a good party, and they want to feel like they're regular people for once. We did an event for the Carters. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want this triggering in the algorithm. Okay. You know what I'm saying when I say the Carters. We did an event for them, and two things happened. One, the planner that called us, which was their assistant, and they did use Mindy Weiss. That's how I know. So, but their assistant was like, yeah, they saw you guys at this party, and so they want to try to get the same crew. Now, I could have been an ass and been like, well, I'm going to do this party. This is for the Carters, and I need to be there and take pictures and show people. No, I'm like, okay, cool. And I sent them the exact party that they had, that they saw us at. I wasn't on there because what's more important than your ego? Making sure that they're getting what they want and what their expectations. So I didn't do that party. I actually sent my son. My son was a dancer on. I'm like, go have fun. I've done plenty of parties. I've done parties for all these people. And I'm going to tell you this right now. In general, and I'll get back to the Carters in just a minute. Actually, I'll finish that. So with the Carters, everything was shut off. Nobody knew anything about it. It didn't get to the internet until like the day of. And by the time it had gotten there, it was too late. They just wanted to be regular people. I asked my son and the DJ, I'm like, how'd it go? He goes, it was great. They were dancing their asses off. They were in the limbo line. They were on the dance floor. They were doing dumb stuff because they just wanted to be normal. You get it? They just want to be normal. And that's how I treat every single person, like a regular person. Not, oh my God, hey, yeah. You're a professional at what you do, and I'm a professional at what I do. Let's have a great party. That's it. If you were as good at me at doing this, you wouldn't be hiring me. So there's some respect that goes both ways. Now, sure, I don't make as much money as the Carters do, but I'm still respected in my field for knowing what to do. And that's the key. That's the key. They're always nervous. Well, okay. This comment, Mac, is correct. But the reason that they're like this, in all honesty, is because the party planner tries to gatekeep. I have found most party planners gatekeep, and they don't want you talking to the client. Everything should go through me. I don't want them to feel any way. I just want to make sure that they're comfortable. And I'm like, yeah, but I need to talk to them because it's their party, and I need to make sure me talking to you, I shouldn't need to go through this middleman, because you're going to convert my what I'm saying in a way that you think you need to say it. I'm going to say it flat out. Like I might say, oh, well, you know what? This isn't a good idea. We're going to need this because this is going on this. And they're going to come back and go, so the DJ says he needs this, but I don't think it's really a good idea because we need to have this first and blah, blah, blah. And then they come back, sorry, the client said no. And then you get to the party and then what you said was going to happen happens. So now you're talking to the client and you're like, yeah, well, this is what I recommend. They're like, oh yeah, do that. Do that. The party planner doesn't know your job. They want to, but they don't know your job. So they need to defer to the professional. That's it. Defer to the professional. And then we have no problems. No, not today, Lehman. Not today. You spend enough time talking about people and the algorithm just slowly pushes you in there. Next thing you know, I'm getting a party planner like, hey, so you had mentioned and I'm like, so no. I have to spread it out a little bit. Somebody will try to download my video and turn it into something that it's not. And I don't want that. Kenny says, do you feel you get more business back from doing the celebrities or is it one and done? Okay, so this is an excellent question. All right. Okay, here are the facts. The facts are, okay, so we do bar mitzvahs. All right. So typically speaking, if a client is doing a bar mitzvah, they have more than one kid. Usually they have a couple, maybe 3 or so. Like Adam Sandler, he had 3 kids, and we did every one of his bar mitzvahs. Bat mitzvahs, actually, he had all girls. And the reason that we did every bat mitzvah is because when we did the first one, we did a good job. So then the next one, he's like, I just want what I had last time. Did a good job. Next one, I just want what I had last time. Did a good job. Okay, so that's the difference. Now, to say if we do a party, and first off, I need to clear something up. Here. Okay. All these high-end parties in general, I'm not talking about Sandler or anything else, but just in general, all these high-end parties are typically, this is going to sound weird. They're not very good parties. Now, they might be very good from a overall perspective. Okay. You know, we're one cog, in the machine. Right. So we're just one little piece. Right. And when they want to dance, it's on. When they don't want to dance, they're doing something else. And there's 40 vendors and all this other stuff. And they have performers and like, they'll bring out like real legit musical acts to perform for 30 minutes. And, they've dropped $500,000 on some popular rapper or singer or whatnot. And so you're just one piece of it, right? They'll try to bring in like guest DJs. Oh, we're bringing in so-and-so from this group and blah, blah, blah. They're going to take an hour from your set. And you're just like, okay. And then, cause you know what's going to happen. So there's so much stuff going on these types of parties that they're never really good parties. So I used to go in with these high expectations. Oh my God, I'm doing this actor or this singer. It's going to be amazing. And you get there and you leave like, oh, this party, and you leave this way. This party could have been so much better. If you just let us do what we do, this party could have been so much better, but it's not our choice. When you're doing these high-end clients, typically speaking, you're just a piece. So you're just fulfilling a need. Okay. It is what it is. So that's why everybody's always like, oh, I love doing these. You're not doing much. And anybody who's real will tell you that I'm real. So don't stress over the fact when you see somebody doing something for something. When you're online and somebody's doing some corporate, oh, I'm doing this for this party, whatever. Trust me, usually speaking, they're not doing much. Not doing much at all, unfortunately. I don't know if there's been a time where I've like legitimately like showed my ass, like, let's go in. No. There have been a couple. Typically, I find that any type of ethnic actor, whether it be, black musician or black actor or whatever, they go hard all the time. They just have a good time. It just depends. It just depends. Yeah, this is it. This is it. Or they got so much stuff going on that you're like, oh my god, I just finally got him going. Okay, we have to stop now because so and so needs to sing now. But we just got him going. Can we push that person back? No, we gotta go. We gotta go. Okay, sweet. They're done singing. Let's get them back. All right, here we go. We got the party going. Oh, dessert's out. So what if dessert's out? We're just gonna keep going. No, you need to stop the party and you need to announce it. Can't win. Can't win. All right, hold on. All right, Balance. Balance asks, and thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you on that one. Do newbies need subwoofers? If so, what's the best brand and model to start with? I have a Mackie Thump 8 speaker. Do I get the cheapest Mackie subs? One or two of them? Okay. This is a very interesting question. All right. So, do newbies need subs? No. No, they don't. If anything, with your Mackie Thump 8s, which I would only use pretty much for just like, cocktail backyard music. But in general, I think you're better off spending the money on a better top than getting a sub for your 8s. You'll always use your Mackie Thumps. They make good cocktail speakers. They make good ceremony speakers. But for a party, I think that you should probably invest in at least some 12s, whether it be the QSCs or the JBLs. I think the JBL SRX 12s and 15s, I think they are the best sounding freestanding speakers that you can buy. They have a nice kick on the sub. They're just good quality speakers. But I don't think I would not go sub with your 8s. I would upgrade to better highs. And thank you for the super chat. All right. Yeah, look, I've done tons of corporate events where they pay me a ridiculous amount of money and I don't do anything. Okay? Ridiculous amount of money and I don't do anything. While I like the money, I'm not having a good time. And then it becomes a job. And when it becomes a job and you're just going through because of whatever it is that they require from you, it's not fun. And everything just seems to get heavy and harder and dumb. So I take the money every time, but I want to have a good time doing it. So if it becomes a thing where it's like I keep knowing that this particular thing is going to be crappy, I start sitting under DJs. Oh, hey, yeah, you know what? So-and-so's got a party. You'll go. And they're so excited about it. I'm like, I know what this party is. I'm good. Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's the only way to do it. I mean, that's the only way to have longevity. Okay. Is to get that grassroots conversation happening when clients are referring you. Look, I've said this. I'll say it one more time. We've been in business for 16 years. I think we're going on 17 years. We've been in business for. And we have never done a single convention, a single expo. We've never put anything in papers or advertisements. Never done any of that. Every client we've gotten is from word of mouth. Every client. So, my sales calls are very, very easy. And even when they're tough, they're still easy. Because here, my typical sales calls are, oh, hey, we'd like to book you. Oh, where'd you see us? Oh, we saw you on this party, this party, this party. Oh, okay. So you know our style, you know what we do. Yes. Okay, great. Now I don't have to try to sell you on what we do. And now when I say to you, this is what we need to do your party well, they're going to listen to me and they're going to trust me. That's the key. When they're like, oh, well, we were on Yelp and we saw your name and you got some good reviews. Tell us, how are you different from so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so? I have no idea how I'm different. I have no idea. I don't see these people work. It's gotta be the dumbest question in the history of sales questions. How are you different from your competition? If anybody ever asks you that, follow my advice. Tell them, I can't tell you how I'm different from them. All I can tell you is what I do. And this is what I do. That's honestly, because when you start trying to compare yourself and, well, I do this and I do that, first off, it doesn't make you look good. I don't care what anybody says. It does not make you look good if you start trying to draw on whatever negatives you've heard about a particular company. Does not make you look good. We're better than them at this and we're better than them at this. That doesn't make you look good. I don't care what anybody says. And that one client might be like, oh, yeah. But then they're going to tell everybody that that's what you said. And that's just as bad. So just tell people what you do well. Now, what I have said, and I've only said this from people that I actually know and I've seen. I've never talked poorly about any DJ company, ever. Even though I had companies talking mad trash about us, in the beginning. Never, ever. This is what I'll say. Oh, hey, we're looking for this. Okay, cool. Oh, we're also looking at one of your competitors. Oh, who are you looking at? Oh, I'm looking at this guy. Oh, yeah, he's really, really good. Yeah, if you can get him. The only thing I've ever said, a little spin, because I'm not dumb at this. I know what I'm doing. Is I'll say, oh yeah, he's really good. If you can get him, definitely. If you saw him, you liked him, go. If you can get him, go ahead and go. If you can get him. I have not said anything negative, but in their head, they're saying, what does he mean by if you could get him? So if I can't get him and they recommend somebody else, does that mean they're not going to be as good? What does that mean? Blah, blah, blah. I haven't said anything negative, but I have said when I know that it's a certain client, I'm like, okay, well, tell me about your party. Tell me what you want. If they're like, oh, well, we want this and we want this and we want to dance all night and we want this and we want this. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Well, this is what we provide. I do know that this particular, company that you use, they're a little more whatever, and if that works for you, because I've had clients like, I want this, and I'm looking at both of you and I'm like, if that's all you want, go with them. What do you mean? We're not that company. We can do this. We can do what you're asking, but they're going to be better at it than we are. And if that is what you specifically want, that's the majority of your party, you need to go with that other company. It's good for me and it's good for you because I don't want to take that party and know it's going to be completely goes against what it is that we do. Now, it's backfired on us before. I've had party planners tell clients, oh, Check One Two doesn't do that. And I'm like, what are you talking about? We never said we don't do that. It's like, oh, no, we never said that. You know what I mean? Now I got to go back and call the client and be like, no. We will definitely, there was a couple of times where a client, their budget was a little lower than our prices. And they told their party planner, well, do you think that they would come down at all? And the party planner's like, nope. Check One Two won't do that. Nope. And I'm like, no. So I called the client and then the whole point was the party was super small and it was this. Now I'm like, oh, well, why don't we just convert it to this and we'll do this and you don't need this. And the problem is, remember, party planners want to sell you for everything because that's how they make their money. So they're selling. The ones that don't charge a huge retainer are typically making their money on the back end. So the more they sell, the more money they make. So if they tell people, oh no, they'll come down. Now they're going to start questioning everybody. So they just say, no, nobody comes down. So, but we come down, we just don't give anything away. That's the difference. In general, If a client's like, well, this is my budget, I'm going to go, okay, this is your budget. All right, this is what we can do within your budget. And it's good enough for us to be successful at your party. Like, I'm never going to do something where we're not going to be successful, because that's just going to be bad on us. And if you're already paying us less money, what's the point of doing your party if we're going to look like idiots? So this is what we can do for your budget. And then we go from there. You know, I have people that are like, we only want this. We only want this for our event. And I'm like, well, that's not enough. What do you mean? It's not enough to guarantee success. And you can't even guarantee success, but to like put our best foot forward. You're handicapping us, and it's just going to make us look bad. And we're like, well, but we're paying you. And so this is what we want. I'm like, well, then you don't want us, because we require this in order to have a good party. It's okay to say no. You know, bar mitzvahs, we don't do bar mitzvahs without our dancers, because our dancers are more than just dancers. We don't do them without them. When they're like, oh, we only want this, like, how many people do you have? Oh, we have 250 people. We don't like dancers. We don't think they're necessary. They are necessary for the size of your party. Yeah, but we don't really want them. My kid doesn't really like them. We're not doing your party then. What do you mean? We're not doing your party. We can't have a successful party. We'll have no control, all of these things, and we're just going to end up looking bad. I'd rather walk away from your money than take your money and look bad, because the negatives travel far faster and longer than any good party you've ever done. Any good party. Walk away if something doesn't feel right. Walk away. And I know that's hard to say, because, you know, people need to make money. I get it. And as a multi-op, if something is difficult or something is kind of stupid or whatever, I can send it to somebody else. I can send it to one of my other DJs, you know. But in general, walk away. It's not good for you. Not good. Okay. I would still like to know what sub to get when the time comes. Well, look, subs are relative, all right? And every sub is different. What I mean by that is they all have different sound characteristics. So if, for instance, you were to get like, a QSC, the 118, all right? That's a great sounding sub. It hits. It's a really good sub, just in general. And they even make a 12 that's really good too. Bass Boss makes an amazing sub. JBL, when you move away from their Eon series, has excellent subs. You know, their top PRX speaker, not the bottom PRX. That one doesn't sound that good, but their top PRX and the SRXs are the ones I would recommend. If you're trying to go like Mackie, the problem with Mackie is you really do have to go to the highest level to get a decent sounding system, right? So like I have found that the Mackies, and the same thing, and the same thing with the Express system from Pioneer. Okay, the Mackies and the Pioneers both have a warmer bass. Okay, just warm and full. All right, but they don't kick. All right. And everybody's different. A lot of people just love the warm sound. So I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I just prefer a speaker that's gonna give me a little pop too, hit you in the chest, you know. So but every speaker, I have found that the Mackies, so even the DRMs, or the V series are good. They're nice and warm. You know, I find that the SRXs hit better, not the typical SRX. The SRX 18 small cabinet, I don't think sounds that good. The 828 sounds amazing. The 900, the 918 sounds amazing. The 118 from QSC sounds amazing. The RCF, I forget the model, sounds amazing. LD makes amazing sounding subs. Amazing sounding subs. You have to think about space too, because like the Okoa line is probably one of the best bangs for your buck for a sub. The problem with them is they are humongous. So you have to deal with trying to fit them into whatever vehicle you're putting them in. But I'm a fan of LD. LD makes some really good speakers. I'm a real big fan. You know, tops wise, there's a lot of good tops out there. I still need to review the Express 15s that I have sitting in my warehouse, which I will do. Maybe I'll do them next week before we go to the expo. I'll do a comparison of the 15 Expresses. Well, I only have 15s in Express and the SRXs. I know the SRXs hit. I don't know if that would be a good comparison, but hey, maybe it would be a good comparison to give it a try. And maybe I'll put up the QSC 12s too. QSC needs to make a 15. I'm not sure why they don't, but they need to make a 15. They really do. All right. Yeah, I wish I could answer that, but literally LD goes radio silent until they need you again, in all honesty. I haven't talked to LD since NAMM. And I'm not talking about like, oh, hey, I just haven't seen them. Like I've emailed them and have not heard. And it's not like I did a bad review because I've seen them take my review, cut it up, and then use it as promotion, right? I still, they don't reply to my emails. They don't reply. Anyway. Okay. How do I like the B3? It's easy to transport. It is. The only problem is, you really gotta put it on the top of your equipment. Okay. If you just to avoid scratching and stuff like that, keep it on the top. That's the key. So if you're trying to put it on the side and you got speakers moving around, bumping it, I wouldn't recommend that. It needs to be on top. Besides that, it's good. It's good. I have no issues with it. Okay. What time is it? 12:30. All right. This would be called an opinion. I don't know that I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Well, but there should be a difference though, Keith. There should be a difference between a QSC 12 and a QSC 15. I mean, in all honesty, that 15 should be popping. Like that's like the SRX, it is the one speaker that I've used for like 125, 130 people, and I was okay. Those SRX 15s. I don't know that I'd be confident with any other speaker, but we're gonna see. We're gonna see how Pioneer is. What is my dream setup? I don't have a dream setup. I don't have a dream setup. Maybe I should, but I don't have a dream setup. Never. I don't think about it like that. But it's a good question, but I don't have a dream setup. Maybe because I can't have a dream setup until I test every system out there. You know what I mean? So that would mean that I would have to test because, okay, here's the thing. I don't think that any system out there is perfect together. Well, except for one setup. One setup is still the best sounding powered system that I've ever used. One setup. My go-to setup is my QSC system because it's easy. But the SRX 15s JBL with the JBL 828 dual cab sub is the best sound that I've heard in any system. It actually, and again, I'm not talking about, oh, well, if you get the one and blah, 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 and it's 30,000. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about general speakers, right? It's the best sound. It is the closest sound to my passive JBL PRX 15s and Cerwin Vega Earthquakes with my dual amps. It was the closest thing to that. Closest thing. Everything else is fine, but nothing sounds like that. Still to this day, haven't found one that sounds like that. So now the QSC system is good enough. And with I guess the compromises that I have to make because of the size of my system, I wanted something smaller and a little bit lighter, but I still wanted point source. And when I'm not using my LD 28s, that's the system that I use. Do you prefer corporate or wedding gigs? I think I think you just got here. We talked about this a lot. In general, today we talked about it today, so you need to go back. But in general, I'm going to take a corporate event over a wedding any day of the week. Any day of the week. Corporates pay better. Typically, there's less responsibility, and usually speaking, most of my corporates bring in everything, and they still pay my full rate. They pay my rate regardless if I bring speakers or if I don't. And if I have to bring more speakers, they pay on top of that. And they pay ridiculous. I've done parties where it's like, oh yeah, you're going to handle the cocktail part of it, and you're going to DJ from 7 to 9. We have everything here. You just need to plug in from 7 to 9. And then after that, you're good. And they still pay my same rate. Doesn't get easier than that. Corporate's good. Corporate's the only place where you can charge more and it's actually like appreciated. Corporate's the only one where you can be like, oh yeah, what is that? Oh, it's 2 hours. 2 hours. I don't have to bring anything. I just bring my Rev 7 and put it onto your custom built thing that you put on. 2 hours, $3,000. And they're like, that sounds about right. Like, okay, thanks. Only in corporate. Now, not all corporate is built the same. And this is the one thing that people will love to say, you can't charge that or whatever. Not all corporate is built the same. You know, we do some Christmas parties usually the second week of December. We will end up with like 9 corporate parties on the same day. And we'll do law firms and accounting firms and entertainment companies. They don't pay the same rate as if like Netflix called to book me or if so-and-so called to book me. Those are different. Microsoft, as Max said, those are different parties. And you have to realize that you can't go into every corporate event saying, oh, well, you know, it's corporate, so $5,000. And they're like, we don't have $5,000. We're going to go with somebody else. They're only charging me $2,000. Like you have to understand what you're dealing with, you know? And everything is different. Typically speaking, you want to know how to charge differently? Typically speaking, if a corporate books you during the week, charge more than if they book you like on Friday or Saturday night. In all honesty, if they book you during the week, charge more. If it's a conference, charge more. Check how much the corporation makes. Well, that doesn't necessarily apply to Feta. It'd be great if they did, but there is some proportion to that. There is some, you know, obviously. But yeah, you have to really be sure about it. But, you know, you have to think about it in a simple way of like what you're prepared to walk away with. That's it. You know, but every corporate is different. Every corporate is different. You know, I mean, like I said, I've done corporates where 2 hours of work, I don't bring anything and they'll pay me $3,000. I've had corporates where, you know, it's 5 hours of work and it's the middle of the day and they paid me, you know, $8,000. Like there's no rhyme or reason to it. That's what makes it so hard to kind of book out. Now, what's really important with corporate, okay? The most important part, these are gems, guys. Just realize this is when your party planner this is when your relationship with that party planner that's recommending you comes into play. Because if the party planner isn't with you and you come in, what is it? Sure. That's 3 hours, blah, blah, blah. It's $1,500. And you're like, deal. And then you find out that the DJ they're bringing in for the following day is some big Vegas DJ. That Vegas DJ is not charging $1,500. That Vegas DJ just charge them probably anywhere between 5 to 10K to do the same thing that you just did. Now, there's a name behind them, so there's a little bit of a thing you have to kind of play with, okay? But you just have to realize that every situation is different. And a good party planner that has a good relationship with you will tell you, this is what they have to do. And Keith just has said it right here. They have a budget. Every year, they have a meeting and they discuss all the events they're going to do throughout the year. And then they say, okay, how much is it going to cost me? This is the president of the company. How much is it going to cost me to do all these things? And then whoever that comes back and is like, oh, it's going to be $100,000 per event. And they're like, okay, do it. Let's just say they do the parties and every event, they get away with it at like $30,000. Okay, $30,000. The next year, when that president's like, how much is it going to cost me? You're like, 100,000 per event. They're going to like, but it only cost you 30,000 this time. Those were all good parties. So let's just keep it at that rate. Now you're screwed. So they have to pay their budgets. They have to. And if their budget, if they come in and they're like, oh my God, I still have $60,000, they're going to bring in somebody stupid to fill that money up. They're going to spend every dime. Every dime. Why not get yourself a couple of dimes too? That's all I'm saying. All right. We got about 10 minutes. Okay. Edge, what would you say to a client that booked you for 5 hours and a few weeks later, they ask you if they can split, freeze the 5 hours, trying to keep you at the venue for more than 8 hours and only pay 5? Well, this is easy. I say kick rocks. Your contract is for 5 hours continuously. 1 hour of cocktail, potentially 4 hours of entertainment. If they're like, oh, well, we have a band that's going to come in from, 8 to 10. So then you can play from 10 to 12. Meanwhile, you got there at 4 o'clock, and you're like, nope. It is continuous. So if they make you stay, you're going to go, that's fine. I'll do that. I'm going to send you another invoice for my overtime. But you're not working. I am not home. The fact that I need to stay here is why you're paying me. I can't go home. In fact, I can't even leave because I've seen times when they're like, oh, well, we're going to do this and the band's going to come on and you're going to be able to take a break. And then the band starts up and they're going and then the band is crashing. And maybe not even their fault. The band's crashing. And then they're like, you know what? You need to get back on. Does that mean, what are you going to say? No. You told me I had a break. No, you're going to get back on. You're going to get back on and call it a day. I've done corporate events where I was only supposed to play cocktail. Okay. I'm the opening DJ at this corporate event. Supposed to play cocktail. Then the band's going to come on and I'm going to play in between the band. So in reality, there was one party, same corporate client. Okay. I charged my rate and you're going to go, wow, I charged my normal rate, which was high for this corporate event. You're going to say, well, why'd you charge this? You're only playing 1 hour of cocktail and then you're playing, maybe 15 minutes in between the band. You're there from say, 9 or 8 to 11 or 8 to 12, but you've only played for an hour. Now, why would you charge so much? There's a couple of reasons. One, because I am there. So it doesn't matter if I'm still required to be there, you're going to pay me my rate. Secondly, because we don't know what's going to happen with that band. I started playing cocktail, right? Then the band came on and started playing. Then after the band, I was going to get on and then, and do the raffle real quick and then play for another 15, 20 minutes. And then the band was going to come back on, right? I did that, started playing, went in, crowd fucking erupted. They're all on the dance floor, right? The band comes back within about 20 minutes and they're looking at this crowd going off, right? And they're looking at me and I know what they're thinking. I absolutely know what they're thinking because it's the same thing that I would say, right? Oh, I'm not going to get on here and ruin this party. you know, and I didn't say a word to them. I just kept playing. And then what happened? 10 minutes later, the party planner comes up and says, we want you to keep playing to the end of the night. Now, what if I charged them what I thought was an hour's worth of work? Now I'm working and I'm not even getting paid for it. So you got to realize, you know, your time is money. I mean, I had a client just now, yesterday, they were like, hey, we need you there at 2:00. Now the party is from 6 until 11. Okay. Typical party, right? We get there normally at 4:00 to set up, and there's an LED wall. We're not even bringing in lighting. We're just bringing in sound, right? So that's a 10-minute job, right? So they emailed me yesterday and they're like, hey, we need you to get there at 2:00. Now, a lot of people, maybe a lot of people in here would be like, okay, that's fine. I'll do it. I'm like, no, I have to charge you for that. What do you mean? Their call time is 4:00. That's their call time. If they come in earlier, just because you want them there, and there's no reason they need to be there early. You're just concerned that you want to make sure everybody's there on time. Fine. I got to charge you for that. I got to pay the DJ's time for sitting around and waiting for 2 hours. But they're not doing anything. You're paying for their time. Now, if they were like, oh, you're doing the ceremony also, so you need to be here out, different story altogether. And I've charged them for that ceremony sound. But if they just want me there early, you're going to pay for it. You know, it's very simple. 12-inch skins in the building. What's going on? By the way, 12-inch skins, thank you for the magnetic Rev 7 slips. Appreciate that. I actually, it actually came perfect timing because I have to swap out one of my tops. I spilled some, I think it was broccoli juice in one of my buttons in my Rev 7. So I forget what that button is. I think it's oh, I got it right here. What is it? Hold on. It's my food was sitting on a top. It's had one of those tables or whatever, and then I went to like grab it, and then the juice was too much, and it just dripped right into my flanger button on my Rev 7. Took out my flanger button, right? Which for me, I did say broccoli juice, absolutely. So for me, see what happens when you eat healthy? That wouldn't happen if I just had chicken strips and fries. Just saying. So my flanger button died, but I never used flanger. So I was like, I don't care. Whatever, it's fine. And then they updated the firmware to allow for stem EQ. And the way to activate the stem EQ is from the flanger and the reverb. So my favorite guy took care of me, and he had a shell, and I just have to take it apart and swap it out. Did you say it's fairly modular? We are talking about the Rev 7 here, right? The Rev 7 is absolutely not an easy thing to take apart. I know I have that video, and I know I showed you how like how you can do it. It was not a good time taking that thing apart. but I will absolutely replace it when I have some time. I have the shell sitting right here. I'm looking at it right now. Anyway, yeah, I absolutely mess up. Absolutely. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right, but you know, it's just easier to just swap the top out. Okay, let's see here. Kello, how and where did you get that confidence to be able to stand on your ground when it comes to the pay? Okay, this is another great question. You guys are nailing the questions today. I'm gonna be honest with you. Not a lot of questions, but the ones that have been asked have been really, really good. You guys, you can come back any Thursday. Okay. So I know that this is not for everyone. Okay. Sales. Not everybody can do sales. This is a fact. I don't care what anybody says. Some people are just better at sales than others. I'm better at sales because for two reasons. One, because I never sell and people respect that. And two, because I'm honest. I'm honest with people. And I have found that nobody cares why you need to do a certain thing if you have reasons behind it, if there's logic behind it. Okay. So say for instance, the whole 5-hour thing and the guy came into play. Let's say for instance, that one. If I say to them, well, no, I have to charge you. What do you mean you have to charge me? Well, because I'm there, but you're going to be here. No, I still have to be there because I'm working. I'm there the whole time. I can't leave. That's why we're charging you. My guy has to get there early. That is not his scheduled call time. So now he's sitting around, and now no matter what, his call time was 2:00. So that means that at a certain point, he's going to want overtime regardless. So I have to charge, when they're like, oh, we need this. Well, all of our bar mitzvahs require this certain thing because it's a matter of control and I won't have it without it. So this is our business practice. This is what we stand on. There's nothing we can do. I find that as long as you're honest with people, most people understand. And if you can give them real justification, they don't question at all. Oh, well, this is why it's this much. I've had people say, can you install the day before? Because I have a couple of like Orthodox Jewish clients. Now, the Orthodox clients, if you know anything about Judaism, if you're Orthodox, you follow all the rules of the Torah, which is the Bible. And Orthodox Jews do not, after the sun goes down on Friday, which is, Shabbat, after the sun goes down on Friday, they are no longer allowed to turn on any electricity. They can't drive vehicles. They can't do any heavy lifting up until Saturday night when the sun goes down again. Okay. So I'm Jewish, right? But a lot of my crew isn't. And they're like, we need you to set up on Friday. And I said, okay, but I got to charge you for it. I got to charge you for the extra day's rental. I got to charge you for the manpower to come and set up and blah, blah, blah. They're like, we know, we get it, and so I charged them for it. But as I was talking to her, I'm like, hey, so just so you know, she's like, I need everything signed. I need everything done, beforehand. I'm like, well, the photo booth person won't arrive until this time, whatever. And she goes, well, they just can't be seen doing anything until sun. I said, well, first off, they're not even Jewish. And she's like, it doesn't matter. Any of my Orthodox friends will be offended by it. So we need you to do it. Okay. The reasoning behind the charge is understandable. So as long as you can provide them with real foundational information, I find that most people don't. And if they do, they're just being cheap and they're trying to get one over on you. And then you can say no to those too. Can you talk about how you go about putting a client who calls you on a retainer once they confirm or exchange money? Look, contracts are contracts. Retainer, deposit, all of those things legally are just, they're in the contract. So I know some people say, if you call it a deposit, that means you have to give it back. No, that's not true. Okay. If you call it a retainer, you can keep it. Well, that's not also true too. All right. It just depends on how your contract is worded. And our contracts are very specific. Deposits, and we only do one. I know some people do payments in between. We only do one. Contracts are, unless it's out of town and we need the money just to book the rooms. Deposits are non-refundable. That's it. That's the only thing. Deposits are non-refundable. So if anybody cancels, and we are flexible. We're probably one of the most flexible companies out there with deposits because we will tell a client, your deposit is non-refundable. However, if we book another client on the same day and they ask for the same person as you, we will refund your deposit. We don't have to because contractually they knew what they were signing when they signed it. But we think it's good form to tell people. Now, a couple times we've given money back. You know, the person sends their deposit in, and then we just send them their money right after the deposit. Other times we've had clients where I'm like, sorry, the money didn't come in. Nobody booked that date. You're not getting your deposit back. And you have to be okay with both of them. So I don't really mess around with deposits. You know, deposits are non-refundable. I don't charge fees. I don't charge penalties. If, for instance, a client booked on a certain date and they're like, oh, something came up, you know, whatever, we have to move the date to 3 weeks from now or 2 months from now. I don't charge any fees. I just move the date. It's petty to me. So I don't need to do it. The only difference is when I move to the date, being a multi-op, if we move it to a different date, I just say, you're no longer guaranteed whoever you asked for. That's it. Now you're at the mercy of who's available. So I try to be flexible. Have you used the new Alpha Theta Onus Duo? Are you talking about the Omnis Duo? That's not a real question, is it, Mac? It can't be a question. You know I have a review on that thing. Yes, I've used it. Plenty of times. Maybe you're just seeing the future. Maybe you just dream the future. Sometimes that happens. I get that all the time. I like DJing with an MPC. That's cool. Can I let the chat know why all DJs need a Jetpack Glide system? Okay. So first off, not every DJ needs a Jetpack Glide system. Now, I say that knowing for a fact that I think the Glide system is a fantastic case. I actually have my own. I actually have two now. I had the original one that they sent me when they first released it, and it fits the Rough 7 and anything smaller than that. And then the Rain 4 came out and it didn't fit the new one. So the Rain 4 and Performer took the newer Jetpack Glide body style, just a little bigger. It's literally like 1.5 inches larger. I got it right before I left for Hawaii. I just took it out of the bag yesterday. It is bigger. It fits the Rain Performer. So I, unfortunately, cannot use the Rain Performer for about a month. Why do you ask? Because, like I said earlier, I'm gonna August 3rd through the end of August, I will be using Algorithm DJ on the computer, not on the iPad, on the computer. And the reason is because it reads my Serato crates. So, my first event is on August 3rd. I will be using that for a month to test out. I'll be using two things for a month. I will be using the Rev 7 with the broccoli juice for a month, and the Maestro DMX. I will be using that for a full month. Then I can give my review on both of them. Algorithm DJ is going to be an easy review. Okay, I've used Algorithm DJ. It's always been great, but I've never done a full review on it. So and it's always just slightly off because I don't go into the details and change the little things and the little quirks that it has. I'm going to do that this time, get it to where I'm confident, and then do the review on it. I would love to have done it on my Rain Performer, but I can't put the Rain Performer, even though Danny Max just sent me my cover for the Performer, because DJ doesn't work with the Performer. And I don't know when it's going to work with the Performer. So I'm stuck waiting. So I will, not that I mind using my Rev 7, but I will be using the Rev 7. And then after that, when they finally do come out with the Rain Performer for DJ, especially if I'm considering really moving over to DJ and that being like my software of choice, which is relative. I think everything is flexible. I will put the Performer in the Danny Max booth, and then the Rough 7 in the Glide. That's the plan anyway. That's funny. uh, it's muscle memory. Absolutely muscle memory. Okay. All right. So people. Peace out, Theo. I have a 1:00 conference call that I need to get on right now. So I have to go. I do want to thank, let's see, 1:00. See, I can't get away from, over 2 hours. I'm trying to shrink it down to like 1.5 hours. Maybe one day. Sports girl in the house, what's going on? You just got on and I'm getting off. So I got to run, but I appreciate you guys all. I will see you guys. Well, I don't know if I got to figure out what I'm going to do for next week. It's my 20th anniversary. My 20th wedding anniversary is August 1st, which happens to fall on a Thursday. So I think it would be in my best interest to not be on this show on Thursday. And if I have it my way, not be on Friday either. So that leaves something like a Wednesday or a Tuesday. Then the following week is DJ Expo. I will do a live stream probably on, I think Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever I think it's Tuesday. That's when they open up the floor up. So on Tuesday, I will do a live stream, but those are all different because obviously I can't talk to you guys really. I'm doing the stream. I might do, that's probably it. So this show might be on pause for 2 weeks until the second week of August. Because I don't even think I can do it on Thursday because I got to figure out when I'm flying back. I don't know if I'm flying back on Thursday morning or if I'm flying back on Wednesday night. That's the question. Anyway, so we'll figure that part out, but that's what I'm dealing with here. I don't know, man. I feel like Thursdays are starting to backfire on me all of a sudden. I never had a problem with Thursdays, and now everybody wants to do stuff on Thursdays. So I don't know. Maybe I should do it on Monday. Maybe I should do them on Mondays. Maybe I should move the date to Monday. No, I don't want to do it on Monday. Tuesday through Thursday. Those are the days. I just got to figure out. Or maybe I move the time. Maybe I bump the time. Maybe I do like a Tuesday at like noon. My noon. Anyway, no weekends. All right, guys, I got to run. Thank you guys for hanging out today. I appreciate you guys all. If you have any parties this weekend, have great parties. If I don't see you next weekend because of wanting to extend my life, then I will see anybody that's going to be at the expo in about a week and a half. So have great parties this weekend. I'll see you soon. Peace out.